Hey, Matt, thanks for getting curious again about week 3 of the NFL. So, everybody, Matt Fisher from Sports Formulator going to give us some of his thoughts on what happened in week 3, plus some MVP early odds, and a little bit of your power rankings going into week 4 and the rest of the NFL season. So, thanks again, Matt, and always excited to get curious with you on your thoughts on week 3. So, let me have it.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah.
I thought week 3 was by far the most interesting week. We had blowouts. My Chiefs blew the Bears out, and the Bears are terrible. I mean, let's face it. I don't know if Justin Fields is right, and they are just simply horribly coached. But that team, they're getting the number 1 pick in the draft. I think again, they're terrible.
Yeah.
They are out of sync. I mean, the Chiefs just blew them out in the first half. I mean, they would have challenged the Dolphins for 70 if they wanted to.
I was gonna say that's kind of my synopsis of last week. Is I was disappointed the Chiefs didn't put more than the Dolphins put up. It was a letdown. After that, I was like,
I definitely think they could have. If Mahomes doesn't get that ankle rolled there at the end of the first half, and the Chiefs wanted to come out and be like, "Oh yeah, well, Dolphins won by 70. We're going to win by, we're going to win, by 73-0, set the NFL record." Which ironically was set by the Bears, put the most points up against them.
Yeah.
I mean, I was on there saying, they need to call Mike Ditka or somebody. Like they got to get things turned around there in Chicago.
It's gonna be a long season.
Bad.
Yeah, it's gonna be a long season. Yeah.
I mean, I posted the score, Chiefs and bad news Bears at the half. I mean I feel bad for Bears fans.
Yeah.
Like when you got a franchise, I mean, I can remember the Chiefs being like that. The Broncos don't seem to be too far away. I mean, that's disaster in the making there.
Yeah.
And for Sean Payton to come out and say that, it was Nathaniel Hackett's problem last year, I get you want to take it off the players, but you're not doing any better. I mean, how often do you see a team get beat by 50 in the NFL? Once every 10 years?
Well, Nathaniel Hackett didn't even accomplish that.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know how that's going to get turned around here. I mean, we've got the Broncos and Bears this week.
Yeah, but I was just going to say, that's the dog poo game of the century, right?
So, the loser of that is the leader for the number 1 pick in the draft, I think now.
The loser of that game, that would make an argument for the way like international soccer does their leagues. Like if like the last team gets kicked out of the league, it really should be, right? Like someone should get relegated. Or there should be some form of punishment. Whoever loses the Broncos Bears game, because you're right. Going into week 4, there can't. Well, I guess you could throw the Jets in there, but there's no direct. There's no more directionless teams than the Bears or Broncos, arguably.
No, they're bad. I thought the Cardinals wouldn't win a game this season. They've proved me wrong already.
Another shocker. Yeah.
And the Bears are what I thought the Cardinals would be.
Yeah. Well, go back to that Bears game because I'm curious. Not the Bears, the Cardinals game, because that was the other big shocker. What, from your perspective, how were they able to pull that off? Like, was it
the Cardinals really have been competitive this season? They jumped on the Giants last week and simply had a second half collapse.
Yeah.
But they were up 20-0 on the Giants at the half. They played Washington tough week 1.
They've been frisky all year.
Have had some turnovers. They might have won that game. I think the Cardinals, have been able to get. Dobbs has played well for them for the most part. I think much better than I expected and most people did. But they're getting it together. They're playing hard.
Yeah.
And I think that's something where you've got to give their coach some credit. He's a rookie head coach, but he's got his guys out there playing hard and playing to win.
Yeah.
I didn't see that from Chicago. On Sunday.
Early on, we were both before the season. We were both discussing how they would be tanking this year, and that's the worst tank job ever, if so. Right.
Well, they've got the Texans first round pick too, so they're looking at probably 2 high picks.
Yeah.
Who knows? The Texans were another surprise from this weekend. Who saw them going on the road and beating Jacksonville by 20?
Yeah. I say apparently everybody wants to win, but the Chargers. But everybody's trying to win this year except for the Chargers. But it is the Texans. That was that. Although they traditionally play Jacksonville well, they've been playing tough every game this year. So yeah.
Yeah, it's a divisional game, so you usually always see divisional games be a little bit closer than expected, but you don't expect the road team to go on, and win by 20.
No,
that's just such a shocker. But I think that was the story of this week is, upsets and blowouts.
Isn't that usually like week 7 or week 11 when things get wonky? But
well, you usually get a couple weekends like this in the NFL every year, and I think that's part of the draw. And it's what's great about pros is, the difference really between the best and the worst is not near what it is in college. And that's what people lose sight of.
Yeah.
And, all it takes is for you to have a little down effort. And I think the Cowboys were just overlooking the Cardinals is all that came down to.
Getting cocky. Yeah.
People blaming Dak Prescott, but Dak's always taking the blames for losses in Dallas.
Yeah.
And I think you just got to chalk it up to the Cardinals just playing better.
Yeah. So I guess I'll factor in your considerations going forward when thinking about the Cardinals or the Houston, the Texans on some of these games. Yeah.
I mean, I've got the Cardinals ranked 19th now for my week 4 power rankings. So, they are climbing their way up. They're a scrappy team. They're going to pull off some upsets. I thought they were in a very difficult division. San Francisco's good. Seattle was a playoff team last year. The Rams were getting a lot of people back healthy.
Yeah.
So that division looks like it'll be pretty tough. But the Cardinals are going to win a few games at least this year. And they'll probably be competitive in about every one of them.
Mm-hmm. I guess who are the Bears and the Broncos going to beat this year? Yeah. The Jets already got that win, so that they're not not to go too far off in a tangent, but while we're on the Jets and while it may still be relevant, is there I know we were posting about it back and forth, but do you have any thoughts on who the Jets might be getting at quarterback? Or there's no way they're riding out Jack or Wilson. I don't know if I said Jack, but yeah.
I wouldn't think they're going to, they've said they're going to stick with Zach Wilson, but I just can't see them just throwing away this season with windows so tight in the NFL as to when you can win.
Yeah.
You can't throw a year away, and they've got a playoff caliber roster if they can get slightly above quarterback play.
Yeah. And it's funny because if they even had like a Russell Wilson level quarterback, but he's not going there, right? Because of Hackett.
I mean, who knows?
Yeah.
Who knows? I mean, I can't imagine that they would want to take on his contract.
Yeah.
But you got to think they want anything that would be an upgrade there. So I think it will be interesting to see after this weekend who comes on the market.
Yeah.
Like we had talked about, if Minnesota goes to 0-4, do they dump Kirk Cousins? I mean, if I'm the Jets, I throw a 3rd-round pick to him or something to rent him and see what you can get out of him. At least that's going to give you a fighting chance of trying to make the playoffs. But maybe the Jets are just like, this division is stacking up to be pretty good this year. Maybe not risk it and just wait for Aaron Rodgers to come back next year.
Yeah.
It's too early in the season still, but I think after this weekend, we'll have an idea of who might decide to throw in the towel, make some trades, and look towards next year.
Well, they talk about looking at or strategizing the NFL season in quadrants, right? Or like every 4 weeks. And now we got the 17th game, but the same idea, right? So this would be the time people start doing those calculations. So
I think so. I mean, if you get to 0-4, you're not mathematically out of the playoffs, but you might just have to look in the mirror and be like, this team's not that good.
Yeah.
I didn't think Minnesota was going to be very good coming into the year. I think I had them at 5-12.
Okay.
Because last year they were a lucky team. They got talent, but they won single-digit games.
Yep.
So is that luck going to continue?
Well, clearly not, because they were like the luckiest team last year, and then this year they've gotten 4 turnovers a game. They're getting all these fumbles and So
It's not going to work out for them. And I think if they lose on Sunday, they've got to look at trading Kirk Cousins,
Yeah.
focusing on the draft. This upcoming draft could be loaded with quarterbacks.
Yeah.
So if they're in the top 10, they should have a shot at getting, one of the top 5 quarterbacks coming out.
In all honesty, the Jets with Kirk Cousins, that's pretty exciting. That's a really good team.
If he can acclimate quickly,
Yeah.
they've got a shot. That division, though, Miami and Buffalo are really good.
Yep.
So the Jets are going to have to overtake New England, who they just lost to. So they're down a game to them. Luckily, they'll have them again. So they can try to even that out. But they're sitting in last place in the division now.
Yep.
How much are they willing to risk to try to make a run this year?
Yeah. They're desperate. So real quickly too, who else do you have on you mentioned the power rankings. I'm curious, what are the other big movers on your power rankings this week going into week 4?
I think Buffalo has bounced back. I mean, speaking of the Jets, the Bills blew the game basically week 1 there with, Josh Allen throwing some picks, and that really hurt them. But I've got them number 3 in my power rankings this week. So I think Buffalo is back. They're still a contender. They take on the Dolphins this week. So that's a huge game. Dolphins are number 1 in my power rankings. So we got 1 at 3. Okay. Really interested in that game too, because if you remember last year in the wild card round, the Dolphins went to Buffalo, almost won that game with a third string quarterback.
Yep.
So now with Tua and this machine that Miami has on offense, this is the game that is going to set the table for that division. The Dolphins get that win, plus a win at New England already. That division's looking like it's running through Miami the rest of the year now.
Well, forget the wins and the losses. I'm the football fan without a team. I want to know, are they going to break 90? What's the over under? Are they hitting 100 points in this game? Like, what's the score of Miami Buffalo going to be? Like,
well, I mean, Miami could have scored more on Sunday.
Right?
It was a possibility there for them. So it comes down to how many they want. Just having a combined total of 90 points is amazing in the NFL.
What is the early line on over under for the Buffalo game, the Buffalo Miami game?
Let me take a look here.
I'm kind of curious what that is, and I'm curious how many people will be taking the under. I guess all the sharps will, but yeah.
Dolphins Bills 53.5.
Okay.
So that's fairly high for an NFL game.
Yeah.
So I think it's probably going to get up there. But, when Miami played at New England the week before, that was a 24-17 game.
Yeah.
So I think Josh Allen will be slinging it on Sunday too. I'd expect those teams to get up and down the field.
Yeah. Nice.
But so I thought that with the Chargers and Vikings this weekend too. It didn't turn out to be as high scoring as I thought.
No, well, Herbert did his part, I guess, but yeah.
I really think, though, that's the game in the AFC. That could be the biggest AFC game of the season. Obviously, rematch in Miami this year, but winner of that game, I think, becomes the favorite for the AFC playoffs to run through, even though we're only a quarter of the season in. After that one, the winner there will have all the hype behind them.
Sure. So who else has moved in your power rankings? Any other big moves?
Well, the team that's, I think, kind of surprising me in looking at how the data-driven power rankings work this week, the Colts are 11th.
Oh, wow.
And I don't think anybody would have seen that coming. And, I kind of posted about that on Sunday, but this is a team that, when they were in the draft, if they just would have maybe decided, let's ride with Gardner Minshew for a year or two here, trade our first round pick down, let somebody else get Anthony Richardson. Anthony Richardson's played well, but clearly injuries are going to be a problem with him. He runs way too much. He's taken a lot of hits.
Yeah.
And, I was saying, what if they trade down, into the teens and say took Zay Flowers, got a receiver or something to go with Gardner Minshew, they're all of a sudden a team that in their division with Jacksonville looking down now, why not Indy to win it?
I see. Yeah. I'm with you. They look, yeah.
I would take Indianapolis right now to win that division. I think they've looked the best of those teams.
Yep.
I don't think you can trust Ryan Tannehill in Tennessee at all.
He's terrifying.
Jacksonville just doesn't seem to be able to get anything going on offense right now. I'm not sure what the problem is there, but they are out of sync. And they got that win in Indy week 1, but otherwise they have struggled mightily on offense. And I think if Gardner Minshew might have been in there, Indy might win that game.
Yep. Yeah.
They had a rookie, or they were going against a rookie making his first NFL start there week 1, and were able to pull that one out. But it was a competitive game. If you've got a veteran in there, a quarterback, maybe he leads them back.
Yeah. Well, cool. Well, yeah. Well, you give me plenty to think about going into week 4, and let's definitely catch up. I want to touch base some more as the week develops. Maybe do a video or even do some spaces Thursday before Thursday Night Football, and maybe, who knows? I've been away from college football for a while, but you may bring me back in. You and Primetime may bring me back into the college football game. But yeah, right now just focus on NFL, and I want to get curious with you and maybe bring Jay Sparks back in, and we can do a 3-way discussion or start having spaces. So anybody out there curious about sports betting, about insights into sports, please give Sports Formulator a follow. And until next time, stay curious.
Thanks, Matt.
Yeah, thanks. Have a good one.